Well, hey there, guys. I'm Max the Beast at ZeldaDungeon.net, and you know what? I've complained, and I've complained, and I've complained about Twilight Princess. I don't stop talking about it, and I think I've given the wrong impression that I hate the game. I don't. I love it. But I've said that, but I've never really given you a reason to believe me, because I don't stop complaining. So you know what? I'm going to give you a big freaking video about what I love about the game. And this is all honest. This is the things I think it just did great, and it's a big list, so bear with me. First, I love the intro of the game. I felt that, the intro, it dragged on maybe, but it built the characters great, and it led into the epicness of the game so well. I mean, it's pathetic that some of the other games, you're this village kid, and then pop, you're the hero. You can't do that, come on. I loved how Twilight Princess built into that. It put you into the role gradually, and that was amazing. I think maybe it did it a little badly, but I think some of the games in the series really need to learn from that idea. It was great. The horse controls I thought were really good. I thought it improved Ocarina of Time's horse controls in every way, and I loved that you could use all the weapons practically off the horseback, except like a handful. Even the bombs you could throw off. That's just cool. The wolf was also amazing. It was gave you a completely different moveset while also limiting you, and it forced you into this at several points in the game, and it was just good for moving the gameplay along. And it was great how there was these moments where you just had to search for stuff, and that was kind of epic. I wish there were more wolf segments in the game, and it was cool how you used the wolf powers later on. I mean, one of my biggest complaints about the wolf was the fact that it takes so long to switch back and forth. You have to go to the Midna menu or whatever. Midna menu. But that's a minor complaint. The wolf was great. I'd like to have seen more with the wolf. I loved it how the game balanced classic items with new ideas. I mean, every Zelda fan knows that they always want to have a lot of items from the classic games. They want to see the cameos and stuff. But at the same time, we always have new items, great new ideas. I feel Twilight Princess provided the perfect balance of the two ideas. It had a lot of classic items, and it had a lot of new ones. And I also feel that it did the same thing in the items themselves, like the Gale Boomerang. It was the boomerang with the new idea, the double claw shot. They just really did a really good job of combining them, and I loved all the items. It was great. The Zora armor included, it was actually an incredible item because it was armor that made you breathe underwater, but it expanded your moveset. I just love that idea, having armor and equipment that doesn't just give you a dinky little ability like breathing underwater or resisting heat, but it gives you an expansion to the moveset. I think that was an awesome idea, and I'd love to see more of that. The hidden skills were epic. I mean, you had all these sword skills you could use. It was just... Who thought they were bad? I don't even need to say this. In fact, I think the core gameplay in a lot of ways was very polished. It was based off Wind Waker's, obviously. I mean, Link looked around, had the exact same sword strokes. I mean, it was very much based off Wind Waker's core gameplay, but I felt that it just polished it, and it felt very smooth and very nice. I just thought Twilight Princess had great controls, great polish and stuff. It played well. As far as the dungeons go, of course I love the endurance dungeons and stuff. Like the Cave of Ordeals, I think might be the best because, I mean, it was harder than the Wind Waker one, the Savage Labyrinth, and I don't know, it had better selections of enemies. Actually, in general, Twilight Princess had a great enemy selection because, some of them were actually very tricky to fight. I mean, overall they might have been too easy because maybe the AI wasn't good enough or they didn't do enough damage, but they were very well designed, and I actually had trouble with some of them. The Dark Knights especially were very tricky for me early on. And I don't know, I think they handled enemies pretty well, although maybe the difficulty could have used adjustment, but I'm not going to complain about that. The Forest Temple, I feel, is actually one of the best dungeons, or at least best first dungeons in the whole series. I actually think the Forest Temple was incredible. It didn't hold your hand. It was not a tutorial. It was just a nice, decent, hard dungeon at the beginning of the game. Of course, it was easy. It was the first dungeon. And I think that the series could learn off that, having these real full dungeons as the first ones of the game to really go into it. Now, maybe they did that because the intro took so long, but you know what? Whatever. I think they should do it all the time. They should have the tutorial as part of the intro. And, yeah, I love the Forest Temple. My favorite dungeon of the game, because of what it was. I thought the dungeons actually had really unique designs in some areas. I mean, you had, Snow Peak Ruins was really tight rooms, like a mansion. You had, the Temple of Time, which was linear. And I just thought it was cool. They experimented so much with the dungeon designs. And, the Forest Temple with the monkeys. There you go. Just all these ideas. And, I think Snow Peak Ruins was probably the most original because it even messed with the compass. The compass, when you got it was used to find a key. You didn't know where the key was buried because you had no way of knowing. And as soon as you got the compass, you could see there was a key there, and you would dig. It was amazing. And I think they actually messed around with those items great. You had to find pieces of the big key, be led all around the dungeon trying to find it, etc. Then you always got the dungeon map early, but the compass was a later thing, and they had that treasure hunting aspect where there's just chests all over the dungeons. I'd love to see them expand that. I loved hunting for treasure. Even if it was just rubies, there's just something cool about hunting for treasure. I thought a lot of the bosses were actually pretty creative, if maybe too easy, but like Star-Lord was interesting. I loved the spinner, and I thought the boss was very well designed for the spinner item. And Blizzetta, I don't know what it was about her, but I thought that she was like one of the most interesting creative bosses in a while, with unique boss fights. I mean, in a way, she was similar to, say, Puppet Ganon's second form in Wind Waker, but at the same time, she was very unique and different. I just thought she was handled very well. Very cool boss. Probably my favorite in the game. Plus, she had cool music. Morpheal and Argrok were kind of interesting, too. I mean, it was kind of an old idea, but it was also expanded in such a way. I just felt they were handled pretty well. Even though Argrok is probably my least favorite boss in the game, I think he had a lot of potential in terms of concept. In the Death Sword, there's not a lot I can say on this, but in terms of atmosphere, how creepy he was, how cool, unique, etc., I think he's the best mini-boss in the whole series, and he might even trump most of the boss fights for me. I thought the Death Sword was amazing. Going into like some of the field stuff and side quests, I thought the Lantern Caves were incredible. I mean, Zelda's always had caves, little one-room caves that you go into and you fight some Deku Babas. And Twilight Princess had that too, although it was handled way better because there were actually swarms of legitimately hard enemy groups in there. And then you'd find lots of rupees instead of dinky little 20 rupees or whatever. You'd get like 100. And so that was more of the treasure hunting stuff. And then you had the Lantern Caves, which were networks of tunnels. And it was just so cool traveling through those tunnels and getting all these items. I thought it was I thought that was great, having these mini dungeons, and I'd like to see that expanded more, to have more of them, or maybe even a network of caves, almost like a second overworld. There's just so much you can do with that. I thought the golden bugs and post holes were great. Again, not much I can say here. Basically, I love the gold Skulltulas in Ocarina of Time, and this was sort of like splitting it into two different things, in my opinion. I just thought they were great side quests. I love hunting around for this stuff. That's all I can say. They were epic. And I thought the game had beautiful locations, because, I mean, I've complained about how the style is kind of dreary and it's not very good looking, and I still stand by that, but I felt there were actually a handful of locations that really stood out. They were amazing looking, like Lanayru's Spring or Queen Rutella's Throne Room. I mean, there was just some moments like that where this breathtaking area, and I loved that. Some of the art and stuff, like the cinematic storytelling, I thought that was great. You had Midna, and some people didn't like Midna, some people loved her. And then early on, I think you were basically supposed to hate her, and I did. So I think that was actually excellent storytelling because they made me hate a character that I was supposed to hate. And then I felt they did a very good job of expanding her and building her character until I liked her. And then you just had like all these like set piece moments, and they had moments where you just wanted voice acting, in my opinion. And that was just, they had epic storytelling. And the music, I've complained about that too, saying it was dull. And I feel like some of it still is, but I actually think that most of the soundtrack is really good and it fits the game well, very well. I like some of the remixes of old themes, and I like a lot of the new themes. And I actually think I might find myself listening to the Twilight Princess soundtrack more than some other games, as funny as that is. I thought a lot of the monsters were great too, because again, something I've complained about in the past is the art style, how many of the monsters were creepy. But I actually liked that. That was more like a thing I felt it was inappropriate for Zelda. But in a personal level, just on its own, creepy monsters, I don't mind that one bit. I like it. And I thought a lot of the monster designs in Twilight Princess were really cool. I mean, maybe not better than some of the other series, but they were cool monsters. I loved them. And I also thought the game handled fan service well, because normally I complain that if a game plays entirely off fan service, it's problematic because it holds the game back and just makes it try to be something it's not or whatever. But I thought, throwing in fan service in the right way can be very good, because it makes this adds this general appeal from older fans. And I thought Twilight Princess, maybe it went a bit of both, but I did think I liked the fan service in the game, definitely. Now my last point is the villains. Let's do Ganondorf first. For all my complaints about him, let's just not even touch that. he was epic. I mean, come on. He just appeared there, BAM! And he just, he's like, I'm Ganon. What are you going to do about it? I mean, he was cool. I mean, he was scary, too. I don't think they've handled the menace that he has as well in any other game. He was just scary, and he was there, and he was going to kick your butt. And it was epic that he had four forms to fight. That was just, I mean, he was very cool. And my last thing is Zant. Now, he's someone that even Twilight Princess fans sometimes dislike, but I loved him to death. I have no complaints about Zant. He started off early, appearing a couple times to mess you up, and he was creepy, sinister, and disturbing. And there was some character development between him and Midna that was great. And then at the end, he just flipped out and went nuts. I think having a psychotic villain was actually kind of refreshing and interesting. I mean, depending on if you believe Majora was psychotic, of course. But Zant, I was laughing the whole time, the whole battle, and I just thought it was like, wow, this is awesome. And he was just crazy. They really, like, threw a random, shocking thing at you like that. And he was creepier in a way because he was so insane and sometimes. I thought he was great. I thought he was actually one of the cooler fights in the game. I love his DJ Zant hip-hop, whatever remix theme, boss theme. And Zant was awesome. Nothing bad to say about him. So that's all I gotta say. I mean, that's a big list, right? Probably more praise than I've given most other things that I've praised. I really love Twilight Princess. I mean, of course, it's a Zelda game, but also these are all things that I felt it really stood out on its own. In fact, these are things I think some of the other games could learn off of and improve upon, even. Twilight Princess was just an awesome game, and it did so many things very well. Maybe it fell short, but it was still unbelievably cool, and I think I've played it more than most other Zelda games, which is funny. Alright, guys, well, tell me what you think about Twilight Princess, and I'll see you guys later.